This week I wanted to start the show by talking about a topic that we covered on last week's show, as reported in the BBC, where the Home Office requested that Apple created a backdoor with worries from many security experts that by creating such a door would be just a matter of time until hackers could use it to access any of the encrypted data on iOS devices. Of course, the Home Office would never comment specifically on what they were or were not requesting Apple to do. It came just as we were finishing off last week's show that, quote, Apple pulls data policy tool after the UK government over the security row with the Home Office. As the BBC reported on the 21st of February, quote, Apple is now taking unprecedented steps to remove the highest level of data security tools from customers in the UK after the government demanded access to user data. Now the tech giant has decided to no longer make it possible to activate APD in the UK, which allows the data stored within the iCloud to be fully encrypted, and not even the Apple themselves can actually access this data. So this is I would say probably a loss or a lose situation when it comes to overall security that I think the UK was trying, or the UK government specifically was trying to push forward and kind of force Apple's hand. And there's been a lot of cases in the past where Apple has claimed and said that they are not going to create a backdoor in any circumstances because of the security concerns that they had regarding the fact that it's not always necessarily going to be used by good actors to prevent crime, and it could be used by hackers to create obviously identity theft, blackmail, spyware, etc., in that respect as well. In a statement, Apple said that, quote, it was gravely disappointed that the security feature would no longer be available for British customers. As we have said many times before, we will never build a backdoor or a master key for any of our products, and we never will, it continued. In the same report, the BBC claimed when asked a cybersecurity expert that he's, quote, it's a very disappointing development which has amounted to an act of self-harm by this UK government. All of the UK government has achieved is weaken online security and privacy in the UK based on users, he told the BBC, and adding that they think they should tell the US tech companies what to do globally. With other reports also going into other people's saying that it would be a very worrying step for the UK government to take when it comes to other tech entrepreneurs and other tech influencers and things like that. So larger tech people talking about the fact that this was obviously a overstep in regards to the government as a whole. With Take Radar adding in their reporting that as, quote, as of today, the 21st of February 2025, people in the UK will not be able to use Apple's Cloud's advanced service end-to-end encryption protection. We are greatly disappointed in the provision by a APG will not be available for our customers in the UK, and will continue to rise in the data breaches and other terms and other threats to customers' privacy. See, the security has said that the cloud storage with end-to-end encryption is more urgent than ever before, said Apple. And later on in the same report, Apple added, and quote, Apple now ensures that the withdrawing of the advanced data protection features from the UK will not affect its iCloud catalog end-to-end encryption by default, but those users, health data, passwords, iCloud messages, Apple Cards transactions, and others will be fully listed on the Apple support page. So there is going to be still some fully end-to-end encryption with some of those more sensitive data, but it's mostly for anything that you have stored in iCloud that will no longer be allowed to use end-to-end encryption, such as your images, your voice notes, your music, etc., things like that as well. With all of the companies said, Apple remains committed to offering their users the highest level of security of their personal data, and hopefully it will be able to continue to do so in the future in the UK. Do you think this is a bad step from the UK government to make it, as we shared in the last week's episode? Personally, for me, I think it's a rock and a hard place situation, because on one side you have obviously the best security in the world, I think should be open to those who wish to use it, and and those who wish to protect their personal data on things like iCloud specifically. Of course, the most sensible, the most secure way of protecting that data is to be in a position where you don't have it connected to the internet at all. However, it does also, on the other side of the argument, mean that the quote-unquote good guys that most people would say, so the police are there to, in most cases, prevent crime, and you could say that this end-to-end encryption, or the ability, for example, to have a master PIN that would unlock any iPhone, for example, of course, it's going to be problematic and would open up a slippery slope, you could say, and I'm sure, is the pain or is the lack of security there, or the options of lack of security there, a worthwhile trade up for those UK customers, or as a whole, to allow the state to look at and spy and gather that energy or that information regarding criminals who are clearly operating and being bad actors in that respect. I think it's a difficult one. Personally, I think we should lean on the side of security as a whole and overarching, because arguably when things go wrong, that's when you're more safe. But I would love to hear what you think in the comment section down below.